Now at 5, why an area assisted living facility moved its residents to a different facility.
An audit of 2020 election results for Arizona's largest county confirms President Biden's win. I'm Deborah Alfarone on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers have extended an invitation to testify to the CEO of the firm who headed up the review.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Medical Lodge in Girard, Kansas is moving 19 residents to their Frontenac location. This is KOAM News at 5. Medical Lodge officials say the move stems from a worker shortage. It's a problem for a lot of businesses and an issue we're covering in reports titled Making It Work. Reporter Bronte Sorotsky has more on the Medical Lodge situation.
Medical Lodges said in a statement that an ongoing worker shortage was the cause of them needing to move 19 residents to their Frontenac location from Girard. Residents and their families were notified personally and by phone and were agreeable and understanding of the move. We reached out on Facebook to see what people affected by the spontaneous move had to say. One woman whose grandfather was one of the 19 residents said that it would have been nice to know that he was being moved beforehand and that he did not receive the care that they wanted for him. Another person said that they believed the possible reason of the staffing shortage was due to the nursing home mandating vaccines for employees.
Thanks. We reached out to Medical Lodges to see if the other vaccine mandate had any impact on the staffing shortages, but have not yet heard back. Nick Kelly joins us. Nice weather heading into the weekend.
Yeah, a great start to our first weekend of the fall season, Dow. We've had quite a bit of high cloud cover throughout the day, but in general, partly to mostly sunny skies, hardly any threatening cloud cover. I will say, though, because there is a weak cold front working through, it actually has managed to pop up some very few showers north of the Kansas Turnpike near Emporia, Topeka, Lawrence, and almost to Kansas City. But even as this front works on through here, it's running into a lot of dry air. So we're planning on keeping things dry as this evening continues to unfold. Upper 70s to lower 80s across much of the region. We'll go partly cloudy to mostly clear throughout the rest of the evening, but we'll go from the mid-70s at 6 down to 56 for overnight lows. But we're looking good for any outdoor plans tonight, especially for the football games. We'll see how the rest of the weekend is shaping up here in a bit.
See you then. The last remaining migrants who had been camped under a bridge in the Texas border town of Del Rio have left. At one time, there were 14,000 Haitian migrants encamped there. 2 final buses with migrants on board departed for Customs and Border Protection processing centers just before noon today. Over the past week, several thousand migrants have been bussed out and flown back to Haiti. A draft report obtained by CBS News shows President Biden won Arizona in the 2020 presidential election by more votes than originally reported. Despite a months-long Republican-led recount effort in the state's largest county. The Arizona State Senate is going through the full report. Reporter Deborah Alfarone has more.
Roughly 10 months after the 2020 presidential election, a Republican-led recount in Maricopa County, Arizona, has confirmed President Biden's win. Millions of dollars were spent on the hand recount of more than 2 million ballots. In the end, the recount added a few hundred more votes to President Biden's victory over former President Donald Trump.
It was the most corrupt, dishonest, and unfair election in the history of our country.
Since the 2020 election, the former president has made claims of widespread voter fraud despite no evidence. He released a statement in reaction to the report alleging there is fraud and cheating in Arizona and it must be criminally investigated. Florida-based firm Cyber Ninjas conducted the review. Federal lawmakers have sent a letter asking the CEO to testify next month. In the report, which found no fraud, auditors criticized the Maricopa County's record-keeping and proposed reforms. Arizona's state Senate president has said the goal of the review was to improve the state's election laws, while a bipartisan group of county election officials have called the process a sham.
This entire sham was built on a lie. They knew it was a lie, and they forced everyone to suffer months and months of this tomfoolery.
President Biden is the first Democrat to win Arizona in more than 2 decades. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Texas election officials said last night they are auditing the 2020 results in 4 large counties hours after former President Trump pressed GOP Governor Greg Abbott for a ballot review. Republicans in 2 other states, won by President Biden, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, are also pursuing inquiries, though they say they are not trying to overturn the 2020 election results. The House committee investigating the assault on the Capitol announced subpoenas of 4 close allies to former President Trump. They are former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, former Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications Dan Scavino, Kashyap Patel, who is a former Defense Department official, and Steve Bannon, a close advisor to President Trump. The panel believes these 4 have relevant information about the buildup to the insurrection. Police have identified the gunman who opened fire in a Tennessee supermarket yesterday. They say 29-year-old UK Tang shot 15 people, killing 1 shopper before taking his own life. Police say he worked at the Kroger store and seemed to be shooting randomly. Authorities seized electronics and other evidence from his apartment, but wouldn't talk about a motive. Coming up in Health Watch, looking into a possible COVID treatment.
Demand soars for a treatment for high-risk COVID patients. I'm Naomi Ruckham with more on how monoclonal antibodies work.
And later, a popular baby lounger is recalled after it's linked to several infant deaths.
With employee pricing at Denver.
Topping today's Health Watch, singing birds may help scientists create artificial vocal devices for people who've lost their ability to speak. Researchers at the University of California, San Diego were able to read electrical signals in the brains of zebra finches and then use that information to predict what syllables they'll sing and when. Like human speech, their birdsong is both a complex and learned behavior. As the Delta variant surges nationwide, there's increased demand for a treatment that can keep high-risk COVID patients from getting severely ill. Naomi Ruckham has more on monoclonal antibody treatment.
Curtis Urban got COVID-19 despite being vaccinated.
I started having what I would consider to be kind of a normal head cold.
He called his doctor right away because he heard monoclonal antibody treatment could be beneficial.
I am a little overweight and I do have high blood pressure. So I'm in that, I guess, enough of that high risk category.
Monoclonal antibodies are lab-made proteins that mimic the immune system and work to prevent the coronavirus from attaching to cells. High-risk patients with mild to moderate COVID, ages 12 and older, are candidates for the IV treatment.
Monoclonal antibodies should be given to individuals within the 7 to 10 day period. When it progresses to severe illness, it's too late.
The FDA has granted emergency use authorization for 3 monoclonal antibody treatments. Dr. Raymond Razanable with the Mayo Clinic authored a recent study looking at nearly 1,400 high-risk patients with mild to moderate COVID.
Patients who receive the monoclonal antibody therapy have a 70% risk reduction in getting hospitalized within the first 28 days after the diagnosis. Very rarely do patients report side effects, and the more common ones are nausea, chills, fever.
And if it's going to help me, then I'm all for it.
Curtis says his COVID symptoms were mostly mild, and he was back to work 12 days after treatment. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
After a recent surge in demand for this type of treatment, the federal government is now putting limits on drug orders and is making state health departments accountable for distributing doses. Children born to mothers who were depressed during and after pregnancy are more likely to develop depression themselves. New research from the University of Bristol found that by age 24, these young people who had worse scores on depression questionnaires when compared to their peers. Experts say this highlights the importance of mental health support before, during, and after pregnancy. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, a Neosho, Missouri native is combining 2 of his best qualities in a contest, his beard and his banjo skills.
Mild and a bit warm, and make that warm and a bit quiet to start this weekend. Now we'll see if any heat's on the way when we come back.
Watch angst.
We started off on a nice note back on Wednesday, and we kept things pretty good so far to start our first weekend of the fall season out. Granted, we did have some high cloud cover stream on in from west to east throughout the day, but still, even with partly to mostly sunny skies, we had highs flirting with 80 degrees across much of the region today. I have been keeping an eye on some showers developing from about Abilene, Junction City, Topeka, even down to Emporia, but they've been having a hard time crossing over the Kansas Turnpike. But even if they tried to hold together in some shape or form, we have so much dry air near the surface, so that means any of these light showers that might try to cover very far northern counties this evening, we're talking about areas mainly north of 54, it's going to maybe leave behind a few sprinkles. That's about it. Hardly threatening weather. Everyone else, though, we're looking pretty good to start this Friday evening out. As far as temperatures go, we had a pretty good day yesterday, pushing mid to upper 70s after we started in the 40s yesterday morning. We dropped back into the upper 50s this morning, and so far we hit about 80, 81 degrees at Joplin Regional. And we're still looking okay from 7th and Rangeline right now. That's quite a quiet sky up above while the traffic below. The evening rush is underway in Joplin. 78 degrees, a south-southwesterly breeze at 15. But look at that humidity, 36%. That's why I'm not really worried about any rain chances trying to come our way this evening. Most of us are in the upper 70s and maybe some mid-80s even trying to hold on across parts of southeastern Kansas. But I don't think we'll be quite as warm as some of our western counties are right now. I don't think those numbers hold as we go into tomorrow because we actually have a cold front working through the region. That's why we're seeing a wind shift out of the northwest in some of our Kansas and northern Missouri counties. With that said, though, that passing front doesn't have a lot of moisture to work with, but it will result in dropping to 67 by 10, 62 by midnight. I'm thinking mid-50s for overnight lows. So let's go back to the map. Let me show you the bigger picture across the entire four-state region. You can see how the better moisture is keeping any rain chances up in northeastern Kansas, across northern Missouri, and certainly where there's better moisture near Lake Michigan. But still, this front will push on through with high pressure behind it. It'll keep us quiet and keep temperatures warm but nice for your Saturday. But we are going to see this upper level setup bring the jet stream back our way, and that is going to result in some, unfortunately, early fall heat, I guess we have to call it now, returning by the end of the weekend and certainly early next week. For this evening, though, let's keep things quiet all the way through. So whether you have any outdoor plans, outdoor exercise, or football games, we're looking good for this evening, but we'll drop to 56. A chilly start for our Saturday morning with the northeast breeze at 5 to 10. We keep that breeze light throughout the day, 74 by noon. I'm thinking highs around Joplin certainly will be topping out around 80 degrees. Quick look at the jet stream setup. This return of the jet keeps us quiet, but with highs back close to 90 on Sunday. Then we got to keep an eye on this upper level low. As soon as it gets closer to us, as soon as we get into Wednesday, that's going to be our next best shot for any rain or thunderstorm chances around here. So the weekend overall now looking pretty good. 80 tomorrow, 88 Sunday. We'll have to start in the upper 50s for Sunday morning, so that'll be quite a jump on the mercury. Lower 90s Monday and Tuesday, and hopefully with the rain chances back in by Wednesday, we'll have highs back in the 80s.
Definitely a nice weekend to get outside and enjoy this weather while it's here.
Yeah, and all the football games tonight looking pretty good.
You bet. Thanks, Nick. A grooming company, Wall, is hosting the Most Talented Beard in America contest. All that's required is the contestants have a beard and a talent. Well, Neosho native Daniel Schilling falls into both categories. He has a beard and he is a banjo picker. So he entered the contest and is now a finalist in the top 10.
Ever since I was a little kid, I was always kind of infatuated with trying to grow a beard, and I always hoped I could, and so I always loved the whole mountain man style theme thing, and I always wanted to be the ZZ Top kind of full length beard, and so now I'm just going for it.
Yeah, I told you he could pick. If Daniel wins, he's going to get a $20,000 prize, but he needs you to vote for him. We have a link to the voting site in this story on our website. That's KOIMnewsnow.com. Coming up, details on a recall of a popular baby lounger. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Brian Biddick served in the U.S. Navy. The Sarcoxie, Missouri native was stationed on the USS Theodore Roosevelt. We salute Petty Officer 2nd Class Brian Biddick, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, foundations around the world are pledging billions of dollars to help tackle global issues discussed during the United Nations General Assembly. Among the pledges, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has promised to spend more than $900 million to fight global hunger, which has gotten worse during the pandemic. And a coalition of 9 foundations has pledged $5 billion by 2030 to protect at least 30% of the planet's land and sea. It's believed to be the largest private pledge to support biodiversity. The government is telling parents to immediately stop using a popular baby lounger after it was linked to several infants dying. Dina Demetrius reports.
The newborn lounger.
The Boppy company sold more than 3 million of these lounger pillows.
Having this propped up support allows for us to have really fun awake time together.
But now the products are under a recall after being linked to at least 8 infant deaths starting in 2015. A separate incident reported on saferproducts.gov this year claims a 2-month-old infant placed in a Boppy lounger was found after a couple of hours to have rolled over and was face down in the pillow and had suffocated. In a statement, Boppy says, "We are devastated to hear of these tragedies and that the lounger was not marketed as an infant sleep product and includes warnings against unsupervised use."
The problem is that it is a very tempting item for babies to sleep on and for parents to let their babies sleep on.
Rachel Rabkin-Peachman with Consumer Reports says it's not just Boppy. Last year, the Consumer Product Safety Commission warned parents infants should not sleep on any pillow-type products.
The best and safest way for babies to sleep, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, is alone on their back in a firm, flat surface that's free of any soft petting or restraints.
Parents who bought one of the loungers can go to Boppy's website to process a refund. Dina Demetrius, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The recall involves the Boppy Original Newborn Lounger, the Boppy Preferred Newborn Lounger, and the Pottery Barn Kids Newborn Boppy Lounger. The products were sold since January of 2004. Costco says it'll once again limit sales on items like toilet paper, bottled water, and cleaning supplies. Shipping delays and truck driver shortages are to blame for the restrictions. Some items are seeing delivery delays as long as 3 weeks. Costco has not outlined how many of the limited items customers will be allowed to buy. A new report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics breaks down how the workforce could change in the coming decade. Jobs in office and administrative support, sales and retail, and production are expected to see the biggest declines. Retail alone is forecast to lose an estimated 500,000 jobs. A final check of the forecast next.
Keep it frosty.
The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, police departments pulled together to prepare for the funeral of a Kansas City area officer killed in the line of duty. Plus, we're going to preview some of tonight's big high school football games. That'll include a live report from Seneca, where the Indians will play McDonald County. And we're going to check out the gem and mineral exhibit called Rockathons, now at the museum in Joplin. Stay with us. CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6. Ben Kerr, an 8-year-old boy from France, loves Lego more than ever now that he has a prosthetic arm made from the toy bricks. His mother reached out to YouTube sensation David Aguilar, better known as Hand Solo. Aguilar is a bioengineering student who created his own prosthetic using Legos. Figured if he could make his own, he could make one for Ben Kerr and children just like him. The act of kindness changed this young boy's life and gave him a sense of confidence.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. Inspiration. You can do a lot of things with Legos. In this case, change a life.
I couldn't even make a simple tower out of Legos, so I'll leave the prosthetics to that guy. That's still amazing.
Find a kid. A kid will teach you to make a tower.
Yeah.
Weather beautiful for the football games tonight and for the weekend plans.
Yeah, whatever you have going on this evening outside, we're looking pretty good. We'll be in the upper 70s by 7 o'clock as the games get going. Ultimately, though, we'll have to drop back into the mid-50s for Saturday morning, but a quick jump to 80 with mostly sunny skies tomorrow, 88 for Sunday. Dry for the weekend. Dow will hold off on any rain chances until Wednesday of next week.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we'll be right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.